Welcome to the Iowa Department of Education's webinar for Title III that focuses on exit criteria. In preparing for this webinar, we highly encourage that you have the following documents at your disposal. Your district or school's LAU plan from the Iowa Department of Ed website at the link listed here. Look for up-to-date exit criteria guidance. Also have a copy of LAU plan template and checklist. Also, you will want to have a copy of the Dear Colleague letter, English language learner students, and limited English proficient parents that's dated January of 2015. The objectives for this webinar are to be able to identify English language exit criteria, be able to identify students who are ready to exit the Language Instruction Education Program, also known as LEAP, understand the responsibilities regarding exit criteria for the state, subgrantee, and district, and validate that your district LAU plan appropriately outlines the state-approved exit criteria and the process that your district will follow related to exiting and monitoring ELs.
To overview, this webinar will focus on the background related to the Department of Justice and Office of Civil Rights guidance related to the exiting and monitoring of English language learners. It will outline the federal requirement for the eligibility of exiting students and the state-approved exit criteria. It will also share information regarding the monitoring of exited English language learners and highlight the shared responsibility between SEA, LEA, and AEAs. As a little background, the U.S. Department of Justice and the Office of Civil Rights issued joint guidance on January 7th of 2015 to remind state education agencies, subgrantees, and local schools, as well as accredited non-public schools, of their legal obligation to ensure that English language learners can fully participate meaningfully and equally in educational programming. This guidance is available at the link listed here.
The federal requirement includes that LEAs must monitor the progress of all EL students to ensure they achieve English language proficiency and acquire content knowledge within a reasonable period of time. The federal requirement also includes that LEAs must annually administer a valid and reliable English language proficiency assessment that measures the 4 domains of reading, writing, listening, and speaking that is aligned to state ELP standards.
How do you know when a student is eligible to exit LIEP services? An English language learner student must not be exited from the LIEP services or limited English proficiency status until he or she demonstrates English proficiency on a state-approved language proficiency assessment in 4 domains: speaking, listening, reading, and writing.
English language proficiency assessment, according to federal law, states are required to adopt ELP standards that are aligned with their state content standards. To meet this requirement, Iowa adopted the new English language proficiency standards and will be implementing the English language proficiency assessment of the 21st century, also known as ELPA 21, in the spring of 2016. ELPA 21 is a valid and reliable English language proficiency assessment for measuring the 4 language domains: reading, writing, listening, and speaking.
The exit criteria. In order to exit, the student must achieve the required score for proficiency on the state-approved English language proficiency assessment, score proficient on district-wide and statewide assessments in reading and math. The student must meet both of the criteria in the same school year. And once exited, the student will no longer be assessed with the state-approved English language proficiency assessment unless they are re-entered into the LIEP.
So what does monitoring EL students after exit look like, sound like? Following exit, school districts must monitor the academic progress of former EL students for at least 2 years to ensure that, first, students have not been prematurely exited. Second, any academic deficits they incurred resulting from the EL program have been remedied, and third, they are meaningfully participating in the district's educational programs comparable to their native English-speaking peers.
What is the state's responsibility in ensuring appropriate exit and monitoring for English language learners? The state must establish and communicate the proficiency targets aligned to the current state-approved English language proficiency assessment. The state must monitor that the approved exit criteria is implemented with fidelity. And last but not least, the state must monitor exited English language learners for at least 2 years post-exit.
What is the AEA responsibility? One of the responsibilities is to communicate the proficiency targets aligned to the current state-approved English language proficiency assessment and to offer technical assistance to LEAs related to the state-approved exit criteria. What is the LEA responsibility? LEAs are to follow the exit criteria. They are to accurately report exited students and monitor exited EL students for at least 2 years.
To recap, from this webinar, you should now understand the state-approved exit criteria. You should also understand how to identify students who are ready to exit the LIEP, as well as understanding the responsibilities regarding exit criteria related to the state, subgrantee, and district.
For additional support, if you should still have questions regarding exit criteria, make sure that you contact your district's AEA Title III consultant. Additional resources can be found as listed below. The Department of Justice and Office of Civil Rights guidance is located at the link listed, and from the Iowa Department of Ed website, the link is there, and you should check there for up-to-date exit criteria guidance, as well as the LAU plan template and checklist.
Thank you for your time and attention to this very important topic.